Streaming live on YouTube. Exciting. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Ski Podcast. I think it's episode 48, which is quite excited. Quite excited. The episode is quite excited, and I'm quite excited about the exciting episode. Sat in his pants on the other end of the internet is Ian Martin. How are you, Ian?
Yeah, very good, Jim. Good morning, and how are you?
You froze up there, but I'm going to carry on anyway.
Okay. I said good morning, and how are you?
Oh, there you go. I'm fine, thanks, Ian. I'll edit that all nice and smoothly. We are sponsored by Switzerland Tourism. Did you know, Ian, that the Swiss haven't hosted the Winter Olympics since 1948 in St-Moritz? They also hosted it before, but St-Moritz is a pretty exciting place. And it's interesting that, how the Winter Olympics has moved away from resort-based hosting to its big capital cities, whereas, St-Moritz you can still go to, and it's a cool ski resort video. And also, another interesting fact, and I'm surprised by this, the Swiss skiers have less Olympic medals than the summer Olympians. Can you believe that?
You mean that Switzerland have won more medals in the Summer Olympics than they've won in the Winter Olympics?
That's exactly what I meant, yes.
No, I can't believe it.
It's true. Even gold medals, more Olympic summer medals than they do have in the Winter Olympics.
I can't think. Well, okay, Roger Federer. I bet he's probably won a few medals for them, hasn't he?
Roger Federer? Oh, yeah, I suppose tennis. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking rowing and then I had to come back to it. Right. Okay. If you want to get in touch with the show and tell us we're wrong about anything, especially what I just said, you can do that by tweeting us at the Ski Facebook. You can also email Jim at the Ski Podcast. And then, there's private ways you can tweet Ian at the Skipedia, or, find me on Instagram at The Average Skier. Coming up in today's show, we will tell you what the snow is like. Ian will tell you what a train is like. I will tell you what Bansko in Bulgaria is like. And Ian will talk about what Courchevel is like. First of all, Ian, let's talk about snow. It's been an interesting time.
Yeah, I mean, you're out there, so you would know, although I have been out there since we last recorded, but we've had some pretty kind of like wacky weather, really. Cold, big dump of snow, 50 centimeters, and then the temperatures went like super high, right? Were you in the French Alps when they went really high and it was raining?
No. Well, yeah, I was. So I was in Bansko and I saw the big snow dump come in. I was a bit sad, not to be at home. It snowed, lots of messages coming in. Oh, are you coming skiing today? No, I'm afraid I'm not. I'm somewhere else. But then, everyone had one day of real joy. And like you say, the temperature heated up. The rain came down, and it's been pretty miserable. It did snow again 2 days ago, and everyone went out again. But it was only about, 5 or 10 centimeters, maybe a foot really high up. But you had real solid ice right underneath it. So interesting, crazy conditions. Did you see that photo of the Mer de Glace?
Sadly, I did see that photo of the Mer de Glace. Yeah, that was pretty terrible. And in fact, via Skipedia, I shared this week on Twitter a report from, got a feeling it was like Meteo France or something like that. But essentially, it was saying that Chamonix is so far having its warmest winter on record ever. With average temperatures 5.5 degrees above, the long-term average. And in addition to that, there've been way fewer cold days as well. So unfortunately, it's another indicator of a long-term trend.
Yeah, that's a shame. It is, yeah. It's been very warm. I mean, the coldest I've been was out in Bansko last week. It was a bit nippy and I had to put an extra layer on, whereas I've been probably skiing just a thermal, a t-shirt and a shell most of the winter so far, which is, unheard of really in mid-January, really. But yeah, lots of rain.
Well,
rain is not fun for skiing.
Yeah, as you remember, last year was the warmest February on record.
It was.
Yeah, so it's not ideal, but those circumstances that you're talking about, where you get rain and then it freezes overnight, and then you get a bit. That doesn't sound very nice. But fortunately, anyone listening to our last episode will know how to ski on ice.
Yeah, but that was all about seeing it. This is hidden, like a foot down. One guy said to me, like, it's been like the beginning of the season. That's how it felt like. But it's kind of felt like it's the end of the season to me in that kind of warm way. You know, as it approaches April, you're like, oh yeah, summer's coming, feeling that summer vibe. It felt a bit like that beginning of January. But yeah, rain, snow and ice. But there's more snow to come, so don't worry, listener, if you're heading out. It'll be all right. Right, let's crack on, Ian.
Yep.
I want to take you back, take myself back to a few weeks ago when I was doing my Swiss tour of the ski resorts that surround the Côte de Rhône, the Rhône. They're on the side of the Rhône, the Côte de Rhône. There's wine there, everything. And I want to take you to my third day, I think it was, when I was skiing in the Val de Héron. Here is my report. And what I want to do, Ian, is I just want to pay you, if I can, maybe through this new system, this thing here, and you can just listen to a few minutes of the last bit of it. Tell me if you can hear this now. Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. Not to worry. This won't go out, obviously. Basically, I was a bit cross because it was a bit pat. So I'd like you just to kind of ask me if I've gotten over it and if I've got anything positive to say.
Okay.
Go for it.
So that was part of you touring around with your Magic Pass and enjoying lots of different resorts in Switzerland, but you didn't sound completely happy with that one, Jim. Are you over that?
Yeah, I was. When I finished skiing in Evelyn, I was really, really cross. I didn't get any tea because the yurt was shut, and that made me even cross. But I calmed down now, Ian, and I want to say that, you know, I think Evelyn is probably a good place to visit if you're going to go there. It's really old. It's like vintage skiing. There was a wooden chairlift, all that sort of stuff. But if you're going to go there,
a wooden chairlift. Wow.
Well, you know, the wooden slats, very uncomfortable. That was on our Facebook page. People saying it was Bansko, but no, it was Evelyn.
I saw that photo and I didn't know where it was. I thought it was Bansko as well.
Yeah, so it's Evelyn. But I want to say, I think if you're in the area and you're looking for some quiet skiing in peak weeks, head to the Val Thorens. It's going to be quiet. If you want to feel like you're lost in the wilderness, go to the Val de Héron. It's amazing. If you want to do some seriously cool ski touring, go to the Val Thorens. It's amazing. If you're looking for modern ski resorts, don't go there. There's 3 resorts to choose from. You know, it's all in the report. It was very good. Quick facts: Arola, the first resort I visited, 47 kilometers, and a day pass is €37. Evelyn is around about the same sort of size and prices. You're going to go to Evelyn. You will have a good time if it's a really good powder day. Go and get a guide, and he'll show you where all the cool stuff is. Don't listen to my miserable last bit. I was really cross then.
You were a bit angry at the time, were you?
I was hangry, you know, cheese, been in a car, all that sort of stuff. One thing I will bring up this in, Damien, who was in the report from the Val de Héron tourist office. We're going to stay in touch with him, because after I finished talking to him, I did another interview with him, and he is taking part in the Patrouille. Is it the Patrouille de Glacier?
Yep.
Which is a biannual mountaineering race. Swiss Armed Forces hardcore between Verbier and Zermatt, and it actually stops in Arola. And he's been training quite hard, and he told me all about that. He's been training with his brother and his best mate, and it's quite interesting.
Cool. I look forward to hearing that one. You know, that race, that couple of people we featured on the pod, I think, before, but certainly Graham Bell has done that race, and Pippa Middleton has done that race as well.
Really? I thought she just did cross country, but there you go.
No,
yeah. I'm not a big royal watcher. Did you get that in OK magazine?
No, but I've got a feeling I interviewed her in an earlier episode of the Ski Podcast. I met her at some launch for the Disability Snow Sports UK. I'll obviously stick a link in the show notes, as that's what I always do.
It does sound like a grueling race. They say it's 53 kilometers.
Yeah.
With like massive altitude. and
Yeah,
they have to be roped together the entire time.
yeah, it's hardcore for sure.
Right then, well, that's Switzerland. Let's go to France now. How'd you get to France, Ian? I believe you've recently discovered something called a train. Is that right? Tell me more about this. Tell me about this invention, and where did it come from?
Yeah, was it Robert Louis Stevenson? Regardless, yeah, Ski Flight Free, the campaign I set up in the autumn, encouraging people to, travel on their skiing holiday without flying. You'll recall I went out in December to Les Arcs, and that trip was kind of truncated or interrupted a little bit by the strikes that were going on. But I had a perfect journey to Courchevel, how it should be. I guess a couple of weeks ago now, went out by Eurostar. Actually, I've started in Brighton because that's where I live. Started pretty early. Well, not that early in the morning, 7:30, I suppose. Up to Eurostar over. I actually did a video about it, which I'll share in the show notes. But it took me from arriving in London St Pancras to walking to the international terminal, picking up my ticket, going through passport control and security, 12 minutes. It's so super smooth compared with, flying. And then the journey itself, really easy. Getting across Paris on the RER is 2 stops. Again, really easy. Hop onto the TGV, which I took down to Chambéry. Loads of space, really good Wi-Fi. Just everything about it was beautiful, really. And then the final section, Chambéry to Moutier, was the rolling stock wasn't quite as smart as the rest of it. But it was a Thursday evening, and there are clearly a lot of people going to the Tarentaise, where they're getting off at Moutier or Bourg Saint-Maurice, for a weekend of skiing with their mates. And it was a bit of a party train, lots of people drinking and singing, bloke had a guitar. So really nice atmosphere. And, just door to door, I had 2 really effective work days while I was traveling. I was able to do as much work as, I normally do. Plus I had the travel experience, and everything about it was just super smooth. I really do recommend it. And I also written a couple of blog posts up about, the cost comparison as well.
The financial cost or the environmental cost?
Well, the blogs that I've written on skiflightfree.org cover 3 elements. They cover the financial cost, the carbon cost, and also the time. So comparing the 3 in each case, how long it would have taken. So, it is quicker if you want to fly, but actually only a couple of hours quicker by the time you factor everything in. And for me, normally if I'm traveling on my own, if I flew to Geneva, I'd have to hire a car. So actually cheaper for me to take the train. If you're a family of 4 and you're hiring a car, then that, cuts the cost down a little bit. But I'll stick a link in there. It was such a pleasurable experience.
Oh, I love traveling by train myself. That is Ian Martin. He is the Michael Portillo of the ski world. Did you know at Geneva Airport, when you arrive now, and there's a machine within the departure where you pick up your bags, you go and press a button, and it gives you free 90-minute travel across Geneva on public transport?
I didn't, but I thought it was free anyway to just go from Geneva Airport to Geneva main railway station. Maybe
No, this covers Geneva citywide travel for 90 minutes, as long as you've got your boarding pass and this magic ticket from the machine.
Okay.
So that makes a big difference, because getting to the bus station is not necessarily the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And Ian, you didn't do like a very straightforward journey. You changed quite a few times to get to Moutier. Most people can do that on their week holiday. If they go in, they can do a Friday night, or if you're doing a day, it's Saturday, and you can arrive in Bourg Saint-Maurice or Moutier, or the one in between. Can't remember what that's called. It goes up to that goes up to Le Plan. How do you book your tickets?
Well, so you're talking there about the direct train with Eurostar that goes either on Friday night or on Saturday during the day. Is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. That's easy. You can book that on Eurostar.
Well,
you did a multi-trip. How do you get your ticket?
I just booked with Eurostar and with SNCF. There's a website called we SNCF, which is their kind of consumer site. If you search, SNCF, and it's very straightforward. And in fact, I signed up for SNCF emails, and they have, like everyone, they have offers, and I'm going out to Switzerland in next month now, I guess, and cheap as chips. I bought my Paris to Zurich return. It's costing me €49 each way, which is just stellar, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same cost as a flight, so yeah, there's no reason why not to do it. Right, Ian, so when you arrived in Moutier, you looked around the train station, you probably spoke to the guards excessively about hanging out. And where did you go after that?
Oh, well, I went up to Courchevel. I was in Courchevel for the weekend, which is it was great. It was just before the good snow, but piste were in excellent condition at the time. I had gone out to do a race that was going to be writing up for a magazine. Sadly, the race was cancelled, so I did a bit of ski touring. I was lucky enough to do the first lift experience, which was brilliant. Went up with a guy from the lift company, and we went up at 8:30 up to Salir, and I got a couple of runs down Salir with no one else on the piste at all, with perfectly groomed piste. That was just brilliant.
Wow, sounds exciting. And also, the Three Valleys, great place to ski. Courchevel, did seasons there. We all love it. But there's they're doing some work on a run for a race. Is that right?
Okay, yeah. No, that was really interesting. I met a guy. The 2023 World Alpine Ski Championship is going to be held jointly between Méribel and Courchevel, and I met up with a guy called Bruno Toir, who is the director of the Club des Sports. And he actually took us down the route that they're going to have for this new downhill run. And it's going to start around Col de la Loze and then finish in Le Prat. And most of it isn't piste at the moment. So they're going to create this whole new piste, which involves, I don't know how well you know it, but I think you said you did season there, jockeys, the Black Run jockeys. They're actually cutting out a whole corner. So down in one section, they're removing all the trees, removing all the rocks, sticking in a whole load of more snow cannons to create this direct run down. And it's going to be steep and spectacular. What he's talking about, jumps where skiers are going to be in the air for kind of 60 meters, and they worked out all the camera angles and this and that. Should hit 140 kilometers an hour. It's pretty exciting, but a massive project. So much work for the resort.
Yeah, sounds like a big project. And do you think that they're hoping that it'll be featured more frequently on FIS tours, or is it they're realistic that 2023 is their one chance?
No, that is a very good point, and he was talking about the networking that's required. It took them 10 years to get on the World Cup circuit, and they have a women's World Cup race in December, which they've now been running for 10 years. And this downhill race, they are hoping will be integrated into the World Cup circuit after that. But if you think about it, there's so many resorts that want to host World Cup races, but there just isn't enough time in the calendar. And so to be able to do it is a big challenge. And in fact, we saw that recently, didn't we? Because Val d'Isère was meant to be hosting the downhill race in December. They couldn't do it, I think, because of the weather conditions are so bad. It wasn't even though they had poor snow, and that moved to Bansko, where you've just been, right?
Yeah, that's right. I did try to get further to the bottom of why it moved, and actually the response was we are good, so they asked us to do it.
Right,
that was it.
Okay. But it happened just before you were there, because you just missed meeting up with Mikaela Shiffrin.
Yeah, I did just miss hanging out with Mikaela Shiffrin. That's right. But I did have a go on the slope, though. It's insane.
Okay.
It had been closed for probably a day or two, and they'd had a small dusting of snow. And, you see an almost complete World Cup run that's just been skied on. What would you do, Ian?
Was it empty of people?
There was not many people on it. Would you just ignore that opportunity, or would you have a go?
Of course, I'd have a go. Yeah.
How difficult is it?
Yeah.
Like we just talked in the beginning of the show about the rain and then the snow on top. So that's effectively what I was skiing on. But this was specifically done. That piste that they create for races, like I thought it was going to be hard, but that was ice rink hard. I couldn't make dents in it with my poles. Plus the fact there was loads of chopped up slough that other people had gone down it, and you know I posted that. What Michaela did it in something like 1 minute 29. It took me like 11 minutes or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to have balls of steel to do that kind of stuff for sure. Like, you know, the speeds. When I skied down Celia, I had my Garmin on and it was recording, and it clocked me at 91 kilometers an hour skiing down. Because and I wasn't, it wasn't. We did have this discussion in a previous podcast about.
You're not bragging about it, are you, Ian?
How much attention? No, I'm not bragging about it. I observed it.
I observed I had my Strava on.
Yeah, 91 kilometers an hour. It felt pretty fast, and I felt comfortable doing it because I knew there was no one in front of me. But these people ski at 140 kilometers an hour. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, 140 kilometers an hour is an intense speed. I still haven't put my Strava on, so I don't know. Maybe one day I'll observe how fast I go.
Yeah, but overall then, Bansko, good trip. Are you going to tell us a bit about it?
Tell you what, Ian, I've spent some time writing a really nice report about it, and this is me telling you about it now. And what I think, Ian, I don't think there's any real need to discuss it because it's quite a nice. What I've written, I've taken some time over it. I thought it deserved it because it's a different thing. And then in the next episode, we'll bring in another thing and we can discuss it a bit more because I think it's quite a lot of Bansko.
Okay. What will be the other thing that you'll bring in next episode?
Well, we've got 3 more things. I thought I had to produce 3 things from it.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the next step will be.
Oh, we're going to talk about I'm really interested, like the growth of Bansko because it literally didn't exist in 2003.
Okay. When did you go there then?
I've never been to Bansko. I've been to Borovets.
Ah, right. Okay. Right, got you.
So I've got quite a nice few sound bites from everyone because when you go to places, they have certain things that they really want to tell you. One of those things was how proud they are of how it's grown, and I think rightly so. It's an interesting story. So I'm going to pull that together, and we can talk about what I talk about in the interview, that stuff there, but it'll be shorter. All right. Yeah. Right. So that was me and Bansko. I enjoyed it, Ian. I think maybe not necessarily for you. I may not go there again myself, but it's definitely a place that a lot of people should check out. But let's talk about something that everyone can watch. It's Ski Sunday. What do you want to talk about Ski Sunday, Ian?
Yeah, well, you say everyone can watch. Can you watch it where you are?
I can watch it, yeah.
Yeah, you've got like a sort of IP thing.
Yep, I've got a legal system how I can watch foreign television in France. That's right.
Yeah, well, I know you said that, we discussed last time, is it worth watching? I keep watching it, and every episode starts the same. They have this really portentous build-up, where they over-elaborate about the race that's coming up with lots of excessive metaphors. And I wonder why they bother to keep doing that. But then I watch it, and occasionally you do have really good things. I watched the Hahnenkamer episode, and the best, the crashes are amazing, and they introduced all the crashes. And Graham Bell talked about when he skied it, because he skied it a bunch of times, and I think he come 8th one time or 12th or something, whatever it is. He did really well. But they showed this one accident from a guy called Todd Brooker, and I think, have you seen that video?
Yeah, you sent me a clip of it. I did wonder, Ian, because as you know, I didn't watch Ski Sunday, so
yeah,
I just watched the clip, and it was an impressive stack. Why do we talk about it?
Well, just because that's the sort of thing I wouldn't see if it wasn't for Ski Sunday, I suppose. Those sort of features, and this guy, like, it looks absolutely awful, but it's compulsive watching, seeing him crash like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was an insane crash. really looks very painful. But I'm still going to say, Ian. I mean, I don't watch it, so I don't know if it's worth watching. I can't really. For me, obviously, the answer is I don't think it's worth watching. I just kind of feel it's about reporting skiing, and it's not about feeling skiing. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of like to watch stuff that's a bit more about feeling skiing. So for me, if I want to watch stuff about skiing, I tend to go to Red Bull TV because I think they've got some seriously good stuff on there. They've got great documentaries, really impressive stuff, and they make some seriously good programs, and not just necessarily about skiing. There's loads of snowboarding content and extreme sports, ice climbing, all that sort of stuff. There's an interesting documentary also on Amazon Prime about the Hockenheim. It's called Strife, and it's about how they create the race, how they put it on. It's a good feature-length documentary. So I think for me, I like the BBC and I like what they do. I don't necessarily think the BBC is skiing for me. Watch Eurosport.
Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely watch that Amazon Prime thing, and it should point out that although you say how good Red Bull TV is, we are not linked to them in any way, but we're quite happy to be if they want to sponsor us.
My son, me and Hadley watch it quite a lot. He likes watching snowboarding. They also there's a lot of slackline on it as well, and climbing. Hadley thinks it's called Hot Ball TV. Connie knows it's called Red Bull TV, and she knows it's a drink sponsorship. But the rule is, in the house, we can watch their program and enjoy their content, but we can't drink their drinks. They know it, and I make them say it before we turn it on.
Okay, I'm sure that's not working. There is one thing about Ski Sunday which I think is quite good, is they gave those World Youth Games that were held in Lausanne, which we covered a bit, some good coverage there. And also, I know you miss your Team GB coverage. They do have reasonable updates there. Dave Riding, sadly continues to disappoint you by merely finishing 7th in his most recent race. One day he'll get to the top 3. But Katie Ormerod, have you seen how well she's doing?
I haven't recently, no, I'm afraid.
Well, she has had 3 successive podium finishes in snowboarding, and she is now leading the overall World Cup standings with 2 races remaining. I should say 2 events.
Well, that is impressive. I mean, she's a good snowboarder, isn't she? She's amazing.
Well, and she's had really bad injuries, so it's fantastic to see. She's had 10 World Cup podiums already, and she is only 22 years old. So she's doing brilliantly, and she's therefore got to be right in contention for an Olympic medal, assuming that she can stay fit, etc. So great work by her, and well done to her.
But what about Laurie Taylor? Good old Laurie Taylor. He's still been following Dave Riding around the world, and when Dave got his 7th, I think he got his best finish as well, didn't he? 24th.
You do really follow what's going on, don't you? You know what's happening.
I don't. I just read stuff to impress you, Ian, and the listeners. It's like if I know I'm going to the pub with some football interested persons, I will, research a little bit on how Tottenham Spurs are scoring in the Premiership, so I can have a bit of chat and make sure I know which team that Arsene Wenger's in charge of and all that sort of stuff. So I like to pretend I've got a bit of knowledge, but then when I get pushed, I fold and go to the toilet. But there's not an option right now to do that. So
okay, so therefore, have you done a bit of research about Erna Lowe? Our chat now.
I know that Erna Lowe is a lady who started a company called Erna Lowe, which I think is quite vain, naming it after herself. But basically what she did, she went, I quite like skiing, I think. I'll take some people with us. She eventually invented the chalet holiday and then downgraded herself to self-catering along the line. I think that's the story. I'd like to know more, but I don't know how.
Well, strange you should say that. There is a book out there called Aiming High, written by a UK ski journalist called Mark Frary, and we are going to do it for our next ski book group after a bit of a hiatus since our last book. Can't remember when it was. We have managed to agree on one that we can read together. So if anyone else, if you listener want to join in ski book group, we're going to be reading Aiming High by Mark Frary, the life of Miss Erna Lowe. She was actually a person, in case you just thought it was a company.
I don't feel our ski book group has really hit the highs of Richard and Judy's yet. We are trying.
What do we have to do to hit the highs of Richard and Judy?
I'm sorry, is that a cultural reference that's a bit past your head?
No. Maybe you mean like if we choose something for ski book group, suddenly it shoots up the charts.
Yeah, that's it. Whereas it just tends to less people buy it because they know we have a terrible choice in books.
Well, that's clearly not the case, although we have read a couple of shockers, but generally I've enjoyed them.
I might write my own and then make you read it. And then give it away free.
I would read it, Jim. I would love to read what you have to say about your your memoir of your life in skiing and on funiculars.
Yeah, my life as a really bad funicular fanatic.
Yeah,
travelled on less than 3% of the world's funiculars. I mean, that's poor showing, isn't it?
Well, there's always time.
I did bag a new one when I was in Switzerland, though. That was quite exciting. I've still never been on one of the smallest ones in the world, which is in Maribel Monterey. I think it's a private one. That's probably why.
Is that in? It's between apartments in Maribel Monterey, isn't it? I know.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I've been on that one because I was a rep in Monterey for 3 years. So that involved going on that funicular at some point.
How long did it last?
Way ahead of you. I've probably done at least 3.5% of the world's funiculars.
I don't believe you.
Do we have any reviews at all, Jim?
According to the notes I've got in front of me, that we've got one from a lady called Stella Cotton. It's a really easy review. It says, it's a really good listen. There you go.
Well, that's nice of you, Stella. Thank you.
That's it. Interestingly, though, I did have on the Average Skier Instagram account, I did get a little bit of feedback from a lady called Jo, who should I trying to think about the lines I should be drawing of what I should be saying. Let's say her name is Jo, and she may or may not have worked for a large tour operator in some capacity that's quite important. But she was took me slightly to task about my comments in there about Chambry, saying that she didn't think I was right, that tour operators don't have people decisions available on Saturday.
Right. Okay. Well, I did point that out at the time. They normally have someone on DT somewhere.
So she told me off. I did invite her on the show to talk about her experience. She said no. So I've read this out, but I'm pretty sure she won't get this far into the radio because she actually asked me to give her the exact time that it appeared in the show, so she didn't have to listen to the rest of it. So
does that mean that someone told her about what we'd said and she didn't listen to it?
Could be that. Yeah.
That's like people, criticizing, movies and saying they're too violent when they haven't even watched them.
Yeah, or reading books and saying they're sexist when they haven't even read them.
Oh, Jim's referring. You'll have to listen to a back catalogue to work out what Jim's referring to there, listener.
Just giving you you haven't said show notes yet, Ian, so I was just giving you a chance.
Right, I'll give the show notes, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. I've also been told by our producer to remind listeners that we can send you some stickers. If you want stickers, say the Ski Podcast on there, to stick around the Alps and take photos of it in various different ski resorts, then do write to us and we'll send you some stickers. And then whoever's got the best stick in the mountains can have my copy of the Erna Lowe story when I finish reading it.
Right, that's very.
Do you know what? I'll even throw in the book that we read about the history of the. What was it? Was
it the Alps? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, not the history of the Alps. They can have that one as well. That was rubbish.
Oh, the racing one by Cleves Palmer.
That's one. You can have Cleves Palmer's life story. You can have all these books. All you've got to do is ask for a sticker and stick it somewhere, and then you could win a book.
Yeah, or if you don't want the books, just stick it somewhere and send us a photo anyway. But that's really good because it helps other people find us, as does reviews. Give us a review on iTunes if you can, and if you can't do it there, tweet us, the Ski Podcast, Facebook, the Ski Podcast. Feedback is really good. We really like it. Before we sign off, Jim, I wanted to ask you something. I literally only read about it this morning, talking about the possibility of a strike in ski resorts on Saturday, the 15th of February. Do you know anything about that at all?
I don't. I know that Andrew Neil and some French politician have been having an argument about there are no more strikes in France. But I was aware that there might be one in resorts, but I couldn't confirm or deny it. My links to the unions in France are limited.
I read this morning in some French website. My French isn't perfect, but it's kind of good enough. And what it says is that CGT are the same people who organise these strikes on the railways, are going to do some strikes on Saturday, the 15th of February. And they're going to be in 5 stations, 5 ski resorts in the Alps: La Plaine, Les Arcs, Les Menuires, Courchevel, and Megève, and also some in the Pyrenees. And what it says is that it's to do with people who do season work who are unemployed during the summer, having their summer unemployment cut. That's what they're protesting against. And what they want to do is not kind of disrupt things or penalize holiday makers, but they want to make them more aware about it. So maybe they'll delay the opening of the lifts that day or something like that. I think for most British people, they're not actually going to be skiing on Saturday the 15th of February. They'll be arriving. So, but
unless it's a Sunday to Sunday transfer, then it's their last day, Robin.
Yeah, I would be very interested to hear from from you, listener, if you happen to be affected by it at all.
What I'll do, Ian, is I'll drop my children off at Ski Club on that Saturday.
Yeah.
I will ski up to the top of the Balm, or catch the lift. Ski up there. I'll catch the lift and I'll peer down off the side and I can see Megève. I'll see if the lifts are running and I'll let you know.
Right.
But it is an interesting. It is a really interesting thing. I come from a coastal seaside town in the UK, and during the winter, in the summer, there's lots of employment. Great. I mean, it's not high paid, it's low skilled, but it supports the local economy. Then in the winter, there's no work for people, and they get laid off. They have to claim benefits. Whereas in France, yeah, absolutely, these lifties here don't have to work in the summer. They've got their job, and they are supported through the summer till their job comes back online. And I think it's a good thing. I know it's a strain on the economy. I can understand why it's a contentious issue, but if they want skilled people to stay in these jobs, it's not like maintenance. The maintenance on your chairlift, you want someone who knows what they're doing, right? You don't want to be finding new staff every year. No. And then you've got Michael who's doing his gap year. He's in charge of bolting your lift to the wire that you depend your life on. Or would you prefer that the money is spent throughout the summer to keep them interested in their job and make sure they come back? Yeah, that's all.
Jim, you said you had connections to the unions. It sounds like you got a future there. Very convincing argument. Give them the benefits they need.
That's it. That's indeed. Okay. Well, should we wrap up, Ian? Any more questions for me about?
No. I think between
the political system in France.
Now, in our next episode, I'm certainly not going away on any trips. No, maybe I will be. Maybe I'll be in the Pyrenees when we speak. I'll have to have a little think about how that's going to work. Are you going away to Switzerland or Bulgaria or anything like that?
Say again, sorry?
Are you going to Switzerland or Bulgaria or anywhere?
I won't be actually leaving to go skiing anywhere different. I did look. I might go to. There's a little ski resort at the far end of Lake Annecy with nice views of the lake, which is, it's a small place.
Okay.
I might go for a day trip there. I might go to San Juan for a day trip. I've never been.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm not going anywhere, I might do. I might go to Chamonix, do some touring. Who knows? Yeah. We shall see. Today I might go and try and do a couple of runs because I've been doing some other sort of runs this week, but we won't talk about that.
We don't need to go into that.
We don't need to talk about that at all. And next time we're going to have a special guest, Ian.
Oh, good. Who is that?
We're going to have a third presenter or co-host, whatever you want to call us. People who turn up to talk on the internet. It's Dave Burrows. He's going to be joining us for the whole show. He's going to be sharing his experience that he had with me in Anzur, and we'll be reviewing that. And we'll also be talking about a potential opportunity for you, listener at home, to come skiing with the Ski Podcast.
That sounds very exciting. I will, I'll obviously tune in for that because I'll be there. But you, listener, you can find out about how you could join the Ski Podcast in 2021, I think.
2021, yeah. Oh, this is too organised for me.
Cool. Been good speaking to you, Jim.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks, listener. And goodbye.
Bye.
There we go.
So yeah, I got a bit confused at one point in the middle there because I realised now that you were sort of talking off the record to me, and I thought you were like on the record, so to speak.
Saying what?
I can't remember what we were talking about now. I think it was just after Bansko. You'd introduced Bansko, and then I said to you, "Oh, what's coming up next?" And you were saying, "Oh, we've got 3-4 things to do."
Oh, right, yeah.
That was off the record.
That's right.
Wasn't it?
I can cut that out.
Right. Either way, I didn't really understand exactly what's going on. I realise now, I've just looked at my calendar, that I've said for the podcast on the 20th, and I'm in Courtrai in the Pyrenees at the time. That doesn't mean it's not possible. I'll be on the same time zone as you.
The Wi-Fi in Courtrai is pretty good.
Right. I'm on the same time zone as you, and it's 8 a.m, so the kids are likely to be asleep. Or, I just need to be able to find a space in the apartment where, or just tell them not to bother me. So we'll just stick with it like that, because
it would be 9 o'clock this time zone.
Oh, of course it would. Yeah, of course it would. Yeah. We never get out on the slopes early anyway, so I don't really see that being an issue. But could you do it earlier at all?
I don't have a problem with it. I'll check with Dave.
You have school and stuff like that, don't you?
Fran can do it. Fran does it a lot.
Right. Okay. Cool. Is Fran working out there?
Yeah, she's pretty busy. Like this chalet that we rented is jam-packed every week at the moment.
Right.
So in terms of that, it's a lot of linen, a lot of all that sort of stuff. She does some tutoring on a Wednesday for people who want to improve their English. And then she manages 2 other properties in a cul-de-sac we've moved.
Right. Okay. So is it that you paid the bloke, that guy that we interviewed a while ago, like a sort of rate? He's not paying you to look after the property. Basically, you've rented it off him for the season, and now you're renting it out. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I wish he was just employing us to run it, because it would be a lot less